Hey guys, I'm back with some vintage candy, or just some candy. This one's not vintage, but it's pretty amazing. So I got three things here to share with you. This one is a pretty big lot. It rattles. That's a good sign with candy. You want to hear a bunch of things rattling. So we'll get into this one last. We'll start with these guys first. Start with the small one first. But yeah, this is going to be novelty candy. That's one of the major things I collect. So I haven't been around in a while. I just haven't had much coming in. I've been having just some disability issues and just some mental health things. But I'm hoping to kind of have a better, holiday season, with the holidays coming around. So, and we got this in, so that's good. Yeah, but it's been super, super slow around my area. So anyway, let's get in here and see what's what. I'm going to get you set up here and we're going to dive in and see what's in here. All right. Again, I hope everyone's having a good start of the fall. Or maybe we're in the middle, not really sure. Okay, first one. I definitely know what this is. It was just something that I didn't have, That's sort of, I think, where I'm at. And I love this position. I have so many candy items that I can just sit back and just wait for an oddball thing to pop up, basically. And that's what this is. I mean, it's not really odd, but I personally hadn't seen it before. Now, I have other hockey puck bubble gums. There's one made by the Opeachy company, and this thing goes back to the 80s, like early 80s. Like, notably, there's also a hockey puck bubble gum from 1988. Can't get this damn wrapper off, and I don't want to waste it. Sorry. Okay. Well, anyway, this is one I didn't have. And it's also notable because of the sculpt of the canister. These would be in the canister category of candy. Most famously, bubble tape, basically, right? But this one's really cool. It's actually a candy item, candy tarts. And you can see bonbons written here, so that's a clue that this might be Canadian in origin. Now, I guess the word for candy, bonbon, is used in other countries beside Canada, probably France, right? But that's usually a clue that this is a Canadian item, which this is. Anyway, very cool. It happens to be an Oilers one. I don't know that these came in other teams, but I imagine they made one for every team. Sorry, I can't get a date off this, but these typically range around the very end of the 80s. I'm talking even like 89. This feels 87-ish. I don't know. It's all pretty much the same date, right? Late 80s. There you go. Boom. Very cool. I didn't have it. Happy to have it. This feels... I was about to say that felt heavy, but there's nothing left. All right, if you're just joining me, I'm opening up a really nice lot of candy, meaning multiple items of candy, and this one is very nice too, but it is modern. But let's get in here next, okay? Yeah, like I was saying, I just don't have the money to be collecting right now in any sort of big way or any, like, my old style way. So it's just going to be really touch and go from here on out. Okay, just trying to read what that said. Just said thank you. Okay, so this is a candy item. You might have seen it on shelves. It's still out, but it's something that I really wanted a sealed example of with all the candy inside. Okay, I think it's pretty much must have if you love novelty candy. Also, if you love monsters. And especially if you love gross stuff like I do, sort of like the Garbage Pail Kid. There it is. Gross things. Let me get all this packaging out of the way. Get out of here. Okay. Now I'll get this glare fixed for you so we can see it. Okay, here we go. Very cool. This is the 2022 Raindrops Troll Wax. And the wax they're referring to, as you can see, is earwax. So instantly, this is gross as fuck. Imagine eating earwax. Let's stop the conversation right there. If you look on the side, it's got different mascots, which is very awesome. You can see the different characters. This is an original IP from Raindrops. This is not referencing any sort of television show or any sort of cartoon. This is completely made up, which makes it even better. And this thing it just has so much going for it. Again, this is Raindrops Company. They're out of Miami. This is their Troll Wax candy line. Now, be a little careful with this. I believe this is from the wave that ends this month, meaning the candy from this wave, Troll Wax wave, which includes, I believe, 4 other candy lines, are expiring this month, meaning all the sellers, all the candy dealers are not allowed to sell it anymore. Now, they might have it in stock, and you can work out a deal with them, sell me some old stock. That's something I'm having to do all the time. I'm used to that, and they're always surprised. What do you want with old candy that's expired? Well, I collect this shit. But I'm just warning you that you probably won't be seeing this on shelves anymore. I don't think they're going to make any more. But anyway, enough rambling. Very cool. Happy to have it sealed. Okay, this is a nice size box. Yeah, so a lot of stuff in here. There's going to be some 80s and 90s in here. What I'm used to. Now, this box, I don't think there's much in here I want. I had to just pretty much purchase it for inventory purposes. I really need money. I just need my store to work how it's supposed to work. Actually, yeah, there's some stuff in here I want. Actually, I just saw one. So anyway, we'll get this out. We're going to get each of these out. Oh, there's more. Very cool. I'm going to open these and we're going to look at them, okay? Give me 1 second. Let's start with this, kind of the bad box, or bad bag. So most of these, if not all of them, well, there's some, are empty. And so first up is a 1997 taffy apple made by Creative Confections. It's basically a apple that's gone bad and the worm has taken over it, but the worm, has a lot of personality. Next up is something I was really curious about. I didn't have this and definitely will be keeping it. It's called Genie Fruit Punch. It comes in I don't think this looks anything like a genie's lamp. I honestly, when I saw it, I thought it was just a pitcher or like a tea pitcher or something. But definitely will be keeping it. Notice there's some remnants of some old juice that's turned brown. I don't know what these look like originally. I don't know if it had a top. I don't think so. Obviously, it had a plug of some sort. But yeah, that's going to stay with me. That's really cool. Let's look at this. This is pretty classic form. It's usually seen with honey products, but it's the old honey bear form. These things date back to, I think, even the 50s. I'm not sure I've seen a glass one, but I imagine there are some older glass ones. Nonetheless, the plastic honey bears, they're called and are filled, are typically known to be from the 60s, 70s, and even this one might be 80s, but I still see it around. Sometimes the sculpture are a little different, but that's basically the form there. This happens to be a birthday theme one. Doesn't look like it was ever used. Just eaten. Next up, I didn't quite actually have this example. It's a telephone novelty candy. I might actually save this one. Oh, when you see the yellow, this is going to be an Alan Mitchell. The Alan Mitchell line went throughout the 80s. I've seen 70s ones. I've seen even 90s ones. But this will fall right in there most prolific period, which is the mid-'80s. This would be a mid-'80s Alan Mitchell novelty candy telephone. That one's staying with me. I don't know why this bear is up here. I'm selling that. Lastly is actually something that you don't want to sleep on. It's a 1992 Amaral sports bottle. These are actually pretty hard to find, and I tell you, this blue top with the green stopper I almost never see that one, and I'm not even sure I own it. So what I might do is I might take the top off and replace it with another one, just so I make sure I have this variant top. But very cool. It's empty, obviously, but all it was corn syrup. It was just colored corn syrup. So anyway, okay, this bag is really nice. Actually, I forgot how nice it was. There's actually some I actually do want. First up is one I was looking at. Yeah, I didn't have these. Notice there's two of them. These are, the old red trolleys or whatever from the UK, the buses. I love that it still has its original sticker. Let's see if there's any markings. It's actually the first time I've ever held one of these. You don't see them much. And I didn't realize they were this big. We're talking, this one's 4 inches. I thought they were much smaller. I'm talking about the buses here. And they would just have a candy. Oh, this one has a different color top. And I know there's another one in there because I remember, seeing a lot. Okay, so there's a double. So I definitely would certainly sell one of these, at least maybe two. But very cool, right? So some British buses. Now, these were not made in England at all. They're made in Hong Kong, if we're honest. But these were distributed in the U.S., probably by either B International. They could be Alan Mitchell. I could fucking read the thing before I blabber on. Yeah, no markings. Well, the Star could be the Star Company out of, is it Malaysia? Okay. And there's going to be more of that genre. I call it different things. Some of them are almost like party favors, like this one. I actually do want this one. I didn't have it. It's just, spaceship, generic party favorite spaceship. Now, at one time, this did have a pellet candy inside. I can almost swear to you, I saw these in an arcade back in the 80s as a prize. You turn in all the tickets from playing skee ball and all that shit or whatever, and they would give you stuff like this. I definitely remember the UFO candies being treated like that. Because, as you can see, they're very cheap, right? They have those Army men Jeep wheels you see on the cheapest candy items. These are a little bit of a level up. I wouldn't call these party favors, but they're tinkering on the edge of just being absolute cheap toys. Anyway, these once had pellet candy, and this was a vehicle line made by Alan Mitchell. I usually put a date of 1984 on these. From experience, I actually have a concrete date of 84 on these. However, just know that these were sold throughout the 80s, so calling it 84 is slightly misleading because this could even be physically sold in 1987 because they were sold throughout the 80s. This is very cool. This is a 1979 Topps Robotron. Sort of they were just trying to get in on some of that Transformer action. Or to me, they're more GoBots than Transformers. If you look at the face, it's very GoBots. It's also very McDonald's, but still pretty cool. The candy was, I think, underrated. The shapes of the candy was cool. Unfortunately, this one's empty. We have a nice YDC price sticker, 39 cents. That's cheap. Oh shit! This PAL candy is missing its wick, its fuse. This is 1985's PAL candy made by Topps Gum. Sometimes also, though, this was released in Canada and the UK. I have examples from all those countries, but this is the US version. A fun fact, this was Mark Newgarden's first candy product when he worked at the new product department at Topps. One of his first cases was designing the graphics for PAL. Boom. All right, next up is a Malaysian. Now this was sold in the U.S., but it was actually made in Malaysia. There's a pretty cool Malaysian line of candy that they were making over there. My favorite is definitely scrap candy, which is actually a garbage candy. But this is their Sunday Shake. You might remember it. Dates range on these just all throughout the late 80s. I'm pretty sure even the early 90s these were around. But they were pretty cool. As you can see, the straw goes in there and you actually slurp up little candy beads. The trick there is not to choke on dry candy powder. Oh, but these belong to a genre of candy called shakes. Shakes started in the 60s. There were numerous candies called shakes. That's where it's kind of invented, if you will. And as you can see, they're still making shakes. And all it is, it's just basically powder that you slurp. I always thought it was more like cocaine, like snort it, but you're supposed to slurp it. This is called a candlestick telephone. This was made by E. Rosen. Dude, these go from the 70s through the 80s, and I bet you even the 90s. This is one of their most classic forms. This is plastic, but this is by E. Rosen, the legendary company E. Rosen. Empty, missing its tab. It had a white tab here, and it's missing its beautiful pellet candy, which I've always loved looking at. Next up is one I'm keeping, so this will be going over here. This is a pistol I did not have. I love candy guns. I just think it's like one of the ultimate things. Oh, holy shit, this thing moves, look. This is a functional, it's not that, it's mechanical. These aren't always have any sort of play function. These are usually just empty shells, empty candy hollow forms that are filled with pellet candy. This one noticeably has a cap on it, so I definitely have never, maybe I've seen these, but I've never held one. I've never had one. So, there's a partial label here. That's going to be the E. Rosen, even though it doesn't say it, I know it. 40 cents. So that tells me this is definitely not 70s, right? 40 cents, we'll put this probably late 80s, maybe 90s. Maybe 90s, actually. Next up is another candlestick. Now, this is the E. Rosen candlestick, but this is the Alan Mitchell candy stick. And I like these, man. I think they had the best one. Obviously, it has more detail and more play functions. It's prettier, and this moves. Very cool. Oh, next up is another Alan Mitchell. You can see by the yellow label. Now, this Alan Mitchell has a white label. They don't always have yellow labels, but yeah, it's a complete unbroken. Still has the candy in it. One of the airplanes. The cool factor on these isn't very high, but if you kind of think back to sort of like, I don't know, I always think of like Red Baron. I read all those books when I was a kid about the Red Baron, even though he was not on our side, definitely wasn't an ally, but still kind of heroic. Very cool. Next up should be a Swizzles whistle. I had a ton of these as a kid. They come in many colors, and I have, I'm sorry, my phone told me I had 20% left. But these are a Swizzle. Like I said, I have a collection of these, of maybe at least 20, all different colors, even some different sizes. Amazing. They remind me of my childhood. They used to have a tart candy inside, but as you can see, it has a play function. After you play with it, you can, use it as a whistle. Next up, we have another Alan Mitchell, but an empty one. Fun. So you can go there. All that shit gets sold. Oh, let me take the gun out. We'll keep him. I might actually keep the Robo. Nah, never mind. Okay, next up is E. Rosen. Absolutely, even has the label, very cool. Even has the candy, like I was saying. They had a very beautiful pellet candy that I guess they were known for, that I know them for it. I love E. Rosen pellet candy. It's beautiful. These are unfortunately melted together, kind of, there's no way in hell they're ever going to come out. But very cool. Complete, 100% complete. The label, I'm pretty sure the label's in the wrong place. I think the label went on the bottom on these. I can't remember. Next up is a classic in my mind. It's 1987's, also 1988, also 1989, Flair spray candy. It's made to look like a can of spray paint. This is obviously inspired or directly after their Chug-a-Lug cans. But anyway, they have almost like a wacky package sort of theme to, style to them. Some of these are actually truly funny. This one, not so much. Okay, here's another Alan Mitchell. This is the dump truck. Yeah, actually, I don't think I've ever held the dump truck. I'm sorry, this is the dump truck. What am I saying? That's the dump. This is the bucket, whatever that is. Makes me feel like I'm 3 again. Yeah, I'm back in preschool or something. This is actually a rarity. That doesn't mean value in this case, but this should be a 1981. God, you know what? I don't even know the name of these. But this one actually has the label. This is really grunge, this price sticker. I might try to get that off of there and to get down to that label. I can't say that I've ever seen one with a label. Yeah, I don't think I still to this day know exactly what this was called. And by the way, this is not the Bugs Light one that Topps made. This is the one, well, you can see the company. Corporation Toy Pack one. It needs a cleaning bad, doesn't it? Next up is a roller skate. I really like this. This is made by Sweet Expressions. I actually looked up their date the other day, and they have a date of 1987. So that's when they filed the patent for their company. So I don't know if... Oh, I'm sorry. Is that a 6? Well, I thought it said 86. Sometimes you can get clues off of KB toy store stickers. You know, with a lot of this candy, I'm always after the dates, man. It's just... Sometimes it's kind of the holy grail, because once you have the date, you can really... Oh, great, another fucking airplane. Wow, we can start a whole little... I need a aircraft carrier. Oh, okay, here's one I did not have. Looks like it has an Indian motorcycle decal on it. Strange. As you see, Alan Mitchell. But it's a completely different form. Unfortunately, the propellers broke. Oh, this is a shame. I still will probably keep this one. Much more detail. It is kind of fragile. This stuff was made out of the most cheap fucking generic plastic ever. Let me grab some of these out of here. Okay. Next up is should be a 88 Hot Wheels. Actually, 90s? What's the date? Is that a 92? It's around, we're all in the same ballpark, late 80s, early 90s. God, now I'm overthinking it. Anyway, who cares? It's a sour candy Hot Wheels. And it's in the shape of a racing wheel. I think these should have been black. I can't remember if they ever made these in black. Not sure why it's red. I guess to make it pop. But still, shouldn't this be a black wheel? It makes more sense. And a little decaling on the side would have been nice. They should have really thought about the packaging there. Next up are some Malaysian Volkswagen Beetles. These fall in the same category as... The Sunday Shake. These were made by the same company. Came with a straw. It reminds me of, do you remember that movie, is it Herbie something? Has a little guy in the buggy, like a comedy. They kind of remind me of that. Let me grab some of these out of here. Yeah, this lot, it keeps going, I'm telling you. It's a real powerhouse. And I'm going to make a good bit of money off this, for, relative to what I'm used to making. And there's even some humdingers I'm keeping. Next up is a late 80s Shark. This is very interesting. It does have the price sticker. Yeah, B International. I was about to say, there's no way that's an Alan Mitchell. Yeah, these were always made by B International. These were very loved back in the day. I've had these in all kinds of condition. I can really tell children love these. It had the play function of the mouth opening. Now the candy unfortunately did not come out of the mouth. That's too bad they couldn't figure that out. You had to take the back of the shark out, but this was just part of that whole Jaws craze. Here's a 1987 Flipside record candy made by Topps. In the UK, they were called disco candy. This has a very grungy candy stain, still active, that I'll have to clean off, but very cool. They should have done more with this candy. I don't know why they like, if you ever saw a box of these, all 24 pieces look just like this. There's no variation. There's so much they could have done with these, but they didn't. Next up is a E. Rosen probably gun. Like I said, the typical ones like this had no mechanical function. They're just empty. Still cool. I'm going to take another handful out. Okay. Here's another one of those guns. That's very cool. Yeah, I'm convinced now this is 90s. I mean, look at the color of it. Now, this is kind of strange. You would think the gun candies were focused towards boys, but it's hot pink. So I think it makes it cooler, but it makes me kind of question some things. Here's this could either be Tom's Foods or it's CD Company. I'm leaning towards Tom Foods on this one, but I don't know for sure. But they both did powder candies, and this is from their Christmas line. It's supposed to be a tree topper. Okay, and this is the one. Here's the money. This is a Pez Bodies candy. I never keep these because the money is too good, so it'll go up for sale probably for $1.25. Very cool. I don't think I've ever gotten one of these full of candy. They're always empty. Has a kind of neat price sticker. It does sort of invade the main portion of the alien. These are supposed to represent aliens, I believe. But I'm not going to touch it. Bottle candies, classic. Just baby bottles. Gives the girls something to buy. This is a crayon. I believe this is made by the Rust Company. Has a pretty cool price sticker. I might try to get that off. Yeah, it should be Rust. Well, no, sorry, it says Novelty something imports. But the main crayons were made by the Rust Company. Who also made Trolls. Remember the dolls, the troll dolls, the famous Rust troll dolls. Anyway, here's another flip side. Like I said, they never have any variation. They're the same fucking thing. That's such a dumb move. Okay. I'm going to pull the rest of these out for time's sake. And then when I'm done I'll review some stuff. Okay. First up, kind of neat, man. This isn't something I get a lot in usually. It's one of those lanterns, probably sweet expressions. A lot of play function. It even has a pencil sharpener at the bottom. This is plastic. This is an Alan Mitchell. I know I've had these before with the labels. It represents a hot rod, I believe. Here's another one of those Malaysian airplanes. I actually have one of the Malaysian planes that has the same sticker that, the airplane that got lost in the ocean. Remember that? Like 8 years ago, whenever it was. And I remember when that happened, I had a Malaysian candy airplane that had the same markings. I forget what the appropriate markings are. But anyway, I have a bunch of these. And I just remember thinking that was kind of weird. Like I had the missing airplane basically in my house. Okay, next up is a 1995 Space Jam by Creative Confections. It's the one with the chick on it. Here's another Malaysian Sunday Shake. A lot of people remember these. These were pretty prolifically distributed around the U.S. Apparently they were really good. I get these in so much. We got a couple of these generic dumb Alan Mitchell planes. Ending with some bangers here. Here's a drill candy. I never had one of these before. Kind of cool. Kind of weird though, actually. Very generic. Probably what this is. It probably acts. Yeah, it acts as a squirt gun. That's why that looks like that. So you had your candy in there, and after you're done with your candy, you fill it with water, and you squirt your sister in the face. Last is, I think, a banger, man. It's the late 80s. I've never known the company that these came out of. Honestly, it could be anybody. This doesn't tell you nothing. It says made in China. But it's a computer. And what I love about it, it's the old style computers that we had back in elementary school. Had the big ass floppy disk, the big disc that we played Oregon Trail on. Remember that shit? But by the way, these I have, I believe I have the whole set of them. I believe there's 4 of them. And they have 4 different saying. I definitely have the Start Now. Now, I might not have Start Now in neon orange. So I'll have to look at that. But there's only 4 screens possible for this candy line. Okay, so I'm going to just tell you real quick what's good and what's not, okay? One thing is this amazing Troll Wax earwax candy. It's still probably on the market, even though I think they're expiring this month, so be careful. Go out and find you some Troll Wax. I've never tasted it. I don't eat this shit. I just buy it. I'm keeping the Genie Fruit Punch. Pretty cool. I'm going to hang on to these toy guns. Most notably the one in hot pink. That's cool. I like that. I'm going to hang on to the computer just because I can. I'm definitely going to hang on to at least 1 or maybe 2 of the British Buses candies. God, what's not to like about it? And before my phone dies, I actually want to hang on to this. And I want to keep this around for a little while. I want to look into that decal. There's something about it. And the rest I think I'm just going to put into the store. Oh, that was very notable, but I'm not keeping it. Super notable. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Yeah, I think that went better than I thought it was. Sorry, I just haven't been around. I haven't had much coming in. Oh, yeah, this thing came in. And unfortunately, it's not going to get any better. It's going to get probably even worse. I mean, Christmas is coming up. There's only so much to go around. Oh, that's the E. Rosen price. Seal. That probably went on that. There you go. Yep. That's where it went. All right, guys. That's it. I'll see you in the next one. Russ Van out.